If you're struggling with menopause belly and no matter what you do, it simply won't budge, this one's for you. I spent 20 years teaching women how to lose weight. I wrote a best-selling book on it that sold over 1 million copies. Girl, why you on testosterone? You know, man, trying to grow a little pee-pee. And I just completely fell apart. Full body, can't catch my breath, crying. And slowly, I watched her light start to dim. If you're struggling with menopause belly and no matter what you do, it simply won't budge, this one's for you. I spent 20 years teaching women how to lose weight. I wrote a best-selling book on it that sold over 1 million copies. And then in my 40s, a belly showed up that I could not get rid of no matter what I did. It's crazy. It's like the one thing that I knew how to do better than most people on the fucking planet. It just stopped working. So I figured out why. And today I'm giving you the 10 exact things that finally changed my belly for good. Hey there, I'm Cynthia Garcia, your foul-mouthed fairy godmother. I grew up dirt poor in Appalachia where I dumpster dived for makeup and got called ugly enough times that, well, I started to believe it. Then I made some money and spent it figuring out how to be hot as fuck at any age. This is I'd Like to Thank Myself, the show where I try every procedure and product so you don't have to, and then tell you what's worth it and what you should leave where you found it. Okay, before we dive in, quick disclaimer, I cuss a lot. Listen, that's just how I talk. Now, if that's not for you, that's cool, but this is your stop. But if you stay, don't be talking shit in the comments because I just fucking warned you. But if you are staying, grab a drink and I will stop yapping on because we have got some shit to talk about. So I want to tell you why I'm making this video. Every single day, I look at the comments or the DMs and there's another woman telling me the same exact thing. She's doing everything right, eating clean, working out, and the belly fat will not budge. And she's asking, what do I do? What did you do? And look, I get it. A few years ago, I'll never forget this. I was in my closet and I was packing for a retreat that I was about to go on. And I was trying on a dress that I already knew would fit me because, I always do this before I travel. Do you do this? Like I pick out the outfits, I try them on, I take a picture in them, and that just makes getting dressed on the road easier. One less thing to worry about, right? Well, not that day, because that day I couldn't get that dress over my belly. And I couldn't fucking believe it. It's like, what? Like, did somebody shrink this dress in the middle of the night and not tell me? It wouldn't budge. And I stood there thinking that I broke the code on weight loss for women years ago. How in the world am I back here again? So here are the 10 things that finally got rid of my belly. Some of them cost some money. Some of them cost nothing. And one of them I do in about 15 seconds. One of them you cannot buy in any form, and it might be the most important one. Plus, I'm going to tell you about a woman named Betty, that's her real name, who taught me what this was all really about back when I was 16 years old, and I had no idea I was even learning it. So again, grab a drink if you don't have one, and let's get into it. All right, number one, and this is the one that I swear to you, I wish somebody had told me about sooner. So if you're in your 40s and a belly showed up out of nowhere and it won't budge no matter what you do, here's what's actually happening in plain English. Because I feel like you need to understand this before you're going to understand how to fix it in the next steps that we go through. So the fat that you had in your 30s, that soft stuff that you could grab on your stomach or your thighs, that's one kind of fat. Cool. It sits right under your skin. When your hormones were running the show, remember those good old days? Your body sent fat to your hips and your thighs. And that's how most of us got that ladylike shape that we liked. Then estrogen starts dropping in your 40s and your body flips a switch. It stops sending the fat to your hips and it starts packing it deep in your belly, wrapped around your organs, like it just got transferred to a department that it never even applied to. That deep belly fat is a completely different thing. It's more inflammatory. It's way more stubborn, as you know by now. And here's the part that made me feel fucking crazy. It doesn't respond to eating less and working out the way the old fat that I knew and, I didn't like it, but I knew it did. So picture me 20 years as a nutritionist doing every single thing that I taught a million women how to do, eating clean, training, and watching that fat refuse to budge, like it was protesting fat rights or something. What I know now that I didn't know then is that you cannot out diet a hormone shift. Once I understood that, I stopped blaming myself and beating myself up, and I started actually fixing it. And that's the whole episode right there. Everything after this is the how. Now, let me tell you the first thing I actually changed because it's the foundation and nothing else worked until I handled this. So, number two, and actually number one on the action items, is HRT, so hormone replacement therapy. Estrogen, progesterone, and yes, even testosterone. Now, if you're like, girl, why are you on testosterone? Man, trying to grow a little pee-pee. No, testosterone is actually super important for women. I did a whole video on it if you want to go and check that out. But when it comes to HRT, this is really the foundation. Literally, nothing else on this list worked right until I had this dialed in. And let me tell you how I even got here, because I did not walk in the front door on this one. I fought it the hard way first. See, the belly showed up for me at the very first signs of perimenopause. And again, shit wouldn't leave. So I did what I do. Worked out, I already told you this, ate less, did everything I'd been teaching women to do for 20 years. Nothing happened, right? I know, you're like, Cynthia, I saw this movie. Let's move past it. But it wasn't for lack of trying to get help. Once I knew something was wrong because it just wasn't working anymore, I had gone to doctors. I had a friend tell me it was probably my hormones, and I was like, no, what? I'm way too young for that. I was a dummy. I was not too young. But every doctor I went to just told me my levels were normal. One motherfucker laughed at me. I shit you not. He laughed at me. One of them offered me an antidepressant, like being sad was the problem, swear to God. And I knew something was off. I just couldn't get anyone to listen. So then my business partner and I had that retreat in Austin, the one I told you about. Now we're out on the lake. I'm in a swimsuit, fucking great. And I just completely fell apart. Full body, can't catch my breath, crying in front of a woman who had watched me handle six-figure business decisions without even blinking. Luckily, she's cool. She's been through some shit, probably like you have. And she looked at me and said, "Don't worry, I've got you." And that night, she handed me an estrogen patch and a progesterone tablet. And I slept better than I had in years. And after that, she ended up connecting me with a functional medicine doctor. And that's where the whole thing finally came together. So here's what hormones actually did for my belly. You see, when estrogen drops, your body gets the signal to start stashing fat around the middle. But when I put that estrogen back the right way with a doctor, then the estrogen started flowing and the fat no longer piled up around my belly like it was camping out there. Now, the belly fat did not melt off overnight. I'm just going to tell you the truth. I mean, nothing works overnight, right? It did take my body, though, out of full storage mode so that everything else I did actually had a chance to work. I stopped fighting my body and started giving it back what it had lost, aka estrogen. And I also stopped waiting on somebody else to fix me. Because what I realized in going to doctor after doctor and getting told all kinds of bullshit is that no doctor was coming to save me. So I became the woman who saved herself. That's the foundation. Number 3 is the one you're either already on or you're actually judging somebody else for. Either way, it's about to get awkward.
I was swinging along, minding my business, when suddenly out of the blue.
All right, real quick before we keep going. If you've been sitting here thinking, okay, cool, but where do I start? What do I ask for? And how do I do all of this without going broke in the process? Well, that conversation lives inside the Vanity Club. We're having it every single day. Women are sharing information, comparing what actually moved the belly, holding each other up when a doctor says no, and so on and so forth. It's an amazing group of women. The link is in the description. Come and join us. All right, let's keep going. Number 4 is strength training, aka muscles. And I need you to lean in for this one because it's a little bit of a secret and another hill I'm going to die on. So I know a lot of dying on these hills these days. Everybody and their mom right now is on a GLP-1. That's cool. I love it. But let me tell you what they might not be telling you, and it might be because they don't know it either. See, when you lose weight, a big chunk of what comes off can be muscle, not just fat. The research range is roughly a quarter to 40% of total weight loss coming off as muscle. Muscle! That's a shit ton of muscle, by the way. Muscle is the thing that gives you that intentional shape, the tone, the strength, the arms that look incredible in that dress. So if you take the injection and you do nothing else, you end up looking like a smaller, softer, deflated version of you, kind of like a pool float in October. Technically smaller, but sad about it. Smaller is not the goal. Strong as we age is always the goal. So here's what I did. I lifted heavy weights. Now I show up and I do it. I don't like it. I do not like it. No, I don't. But I do it because you can't buy muscle in a syringe. And if you could, trust and believe I'd take that shit too. And this is where it stops being about a number on a scale for me. See, I didn't want to just be smaller. I wanted to be strong because I am not available to shrink. Now that's number 4. Number 5 is boring, but it did half the work without any credit. Number 5 is protein. I know, not sexy. Nobody is out here in these streets making a documentary about protein. I get it, but stay with me because this is what keeps the muscle that you worked so hard for on. So I get protein in first every day before anything else. I aim for roughly 25 to 40 grams per meal, 3 to 4 times a day, usually about 3, and then maybe a little bit of a snack. It's the least glamorous thing on this whole list, but it did half the work in the background. And honestly, isn't that how it kind of always goes? It's like the thing that nobody claps for is the thing holding everything together, kind of like being a woman. I digress. That's number 5. We are halfway. You're doing great. Number 6 is a hormone that you can't buy, can't supplement, and cannot fake your way around. And it's probably the reason that you can't lose the belly fat no matter what you do. All right, real quick before we keep going. If you've been sitting here thinking, okay, cool, but where do I start? What do I ask for? And how do I do all of this without going broke in the process? Well, that conversation lives inside the Vanity Club. We're having it every single day. Women are sharing information, comparing what actually moved the belly, holding each other up when a doctor says no, and so on and so forth. It's an amazing group of women. The link is in the description. Come and join us. Okay, number 6 is cortisol, the hormone that you cannot supplement your way out of. Now, I know you can get supplements like ashwagandha and all of that. That's amazing, but it only works so much. See, cortisol is your stress hormone, and here's what it has to do with menopause belly. Estrogen helps to keep it in check. So when estrogen drops, cortisol can run higher. Same life, same stress, just a shit ton more cortisol. And here's the problem. High cortisol tells your body to hold on to fat around your middle. I know. So if your sleep is wrecked and you can't lose the belly fat no matter what you've been doing, cortisol is probably part of it. Now, not the whole villain, but a real piece of it. You see, your body doesn't know the difference between a real emergency and your teenager texting, "Can we talk?" with nothing after it. It's like the same sirens, full panic. And here's the thing that kind of made me fucking crazy. There's no pill for it. Like I said, like you can take some supplement, didn't really work that well. There's no patch, there's no powder that Cheryl from the gym is going to sell you. Sorry, Cheryl, I love you, but the market isn't fucking doing it. So here's what actually worked. And I gotta say, this is probably the part that I'm most proudest of because I had to do some shit. I walk, I lift weights, I meditate, I sleep, I stay calm the fuck down most days. I say no to things that do not matter. And you know what else I did? I stopped competing to be the most exhausted woman in the room because for too long, being the most tired felt like proof that I was worthy of rest. But that was a lie. And I stopped giving a single fuck what anybody thinks about how I'm doing any of it. Judge me. Genuinely, judge me all you want. My cortisol has never been better, so I can take it. Say all the shit. Go off, Debbie. All right, that's 6. But before I give you number 7, I need to reset your expectations a little bit. I don't want you thinking some shit about me that's not true and then feeling bad about yourself later. So before we keep going, I refuse to be one of those people who hand you a perfect list of shit to do and pretends that they live like a saint. You know how I open every single episode telling you to grab a drink? Here's the truth about that one. Alcohol is the one thing on this entire list that's working against my belly. It feeds the exact deep fat that we've been talking about this entire fucking time. And wait, it gets better. It messes with the sleep that I'm about to tell you matters more than anything. So my glass of champagne here is out here actively fighting nearly everything else I'm doing. And you know what? I still drink that shit on purpose, eyes wide open. Because a glass of something good with the people I love is part of being hot as fuck. It's part of the life I'm building, not the one I'm trying to escape from. I am not doing all of this to live like a nun who counts her almonds and goes to bed at 8 p.m. I'm doing it so I can have the body and the champagne and the whole life. I just don't lie to myself about the trade-off. I know exactly what it costs me, and I decide as a grown-ass woman that some nights it's worth it. And the biggest thing that a drink steals from me is the exact thing I'm about to tell you matters most, and that is number 7, which you already know at this point is sleep. Sleep! And this is the one that's completely free. It's also the one that everybody co-signs on and then promptly forgets about. So here's how sleep and menopause belly are tied together because it's truly a straight line. See, when you don't sleep, your cortisol spikes. And we just covered what cortisol does. It drives that fat deep down into your belly. So a bad night's sleep isn't just a tired next day. It's your body being told to store fat around your middle that you know you don't want. You cannot fix the belly if you're not sleeping. It really is that simple and that annoying. And I had to reframe this in my own head because I come from people who treated rest like it was something that you had to earn. And if you were resting, you were lazy. So for years, decades, I ran on no sleep and I wore it like that shit was a medal. And now I treat sleep like part of the protocol, same as anything else that I pay for because it is. Rest is not me being lazy. It's me running my own body on purpose. So I treat sleep like I'm training for an Olympic sport. At night, I turn on some red lights in my bedroom, kind of looks like a brothel, instead of those bright white lights because bright lights can mess with melatonin, which is the hormone that makes you sleepy. Now, I also have a whole wind down routine that includes a white noise machine and earmuffs. Now, Zach calls them earplugs, but he would be wrong. They go in your ears, they muffle the sounds, they're fucking earmuffs. Zach, taking that one to the grave. I also pop some magnesium glycinate about an hour before bed as an insurance policy. My whole evening routine, if you want that, is here on the channel. You can check that out. That's number 7. Number 8 is the one I didn't see coming, and now I'm the annoying one telling everybody about it. Like I discovered it. I didn't. Number 8 is creatine. I know. Have you heard about this? So for years, you're like, yeah, bitch, we know. Hi. For years, I thought creatine was a thing for like 22-year-old dudes trying to get muscles in a garage gym that smells like Axe body spray. Ugh, I know. Get that out of my head. That was the whole picture that was going on up here. And I was wrong. Turns out it might be one of the most useful things that a woman over 40 can take, and it was hiding in the stinky garage the entire time. So here's what creatine actually does. Every time you lift something heavy, your muscles fire off a quick little burst of energy, right? Beep, beep, beep. That's how it sounds. Creatine gives them more of that energy on tap. So you can push a little harder, get an extra rep or two, and that extra work is what builds more muscle over time. Now, bonus, because it also pulls a little water into your muscles so they look fuller and nicer. Now, it's not doing anything on its own. It's just making the lifting you're already doing work better and makes you look better. So I take 5 grams a day in my morning protein shake, easy peasy. So that's number 8. Number 9 is how I stopped guessing about any of this and actually knew knew what my body was doing. Number 9 is the data, actually measuring what's going on inside of my body instead of just guessing based on my symptoms. Symptoms count, but data does too. You need them both. So for a long time, while I was trying to get rid of the menopause belly, I was kind of flying blind. I was guessing about whether anything I did was actually working because the only thing I was measuring myself with was just a regular old bathroom scale. Do you do this? See, that scale told me one number, and that's about it. See, here's the problem. It can't tell fat from muscle. So if you build muscle, the number goes up and the scale acts like you failed. So the moral of the story here is get rid of the scale. What I started doing was measuring instead. So I get a DEXA scan, which is a full body scan that shows me exactly how much of me is made up of fat and how much of me is muscle, because that's the number that actually matters, not the one on the random bathroom scale. Now, I do have a home scale that gives me more than just that one number. It also measures muscle and body fat and that kind of thing. It's not as accurate as a DEXA, but it is useful, so I use it. And I get real blood work done, not just the basic stuff that most doctors run, but my hormones, my thyroid, my vitamin levels, the whole inside story. Now, I recently had Dr. Anna Kabeka as a special guest for the Vanity Club to answer all of our members' questions about hormones. And according to her, you should know all of your hormone numbers like your social security number. And honestly, I couldn't agree more. The reason I do all of this is simple. My body is mine to run. Yes, I have a doctor that I trust, and I still know my own numbers. Not so I can challenge her or anything, but so I can work with her. Because nobody is ever going to know this body or care about it like the woman living in it. I'm not a passenger in my own health. I'm the one driving. Now, if I listed every single thing I test, we'd be here for a few hours. So the full list, the exact numbers to ask your doctor for, that's all in the Vanity Club. But the starting move is this. Stop guessing and go get a real look at what's actually happening inside of you, because you cannot fix what you can't measure. And that brings us to number 10, friends. We did it. Number 10 is, why do I bother? So people ask me this all the time. Why do you do this, Cynthia? The labs, lifting, the tracking, the protocols. Are you just vain? And yes, the answer is yes. I definitely fucking am. But why do I do all of this at 48 when I could just let it go? And it's a valid question. So to help you understand, I want to tell you a quick story about Betty. And yes, that is her real name. I hope she's alive and well these days. I have no idea. But I'm from the South. Remember, lots of Bettys there. And I was 16 and I was working at this little restaurant in the nearby town called Italian Village. I know. Betty worked at the front. She was, I guess, in her mid-40s. She had 2 little kids, really pretty, really sweet. She was the kind of person who remembered your kids' names. She knew the whole town. And watching her work that floor was like watching somebody do the exact thing they were put on this planet to do. And then one day Betty's body started to change. Just, midlife, doing what midlife does. She started to gain some weight, get a little bit more round in the tummy and in the face. And I started hearing comments about her, sometimes straight to her face. Oh, gained some weight there, Betty. Did some good eating around the holidays, those kind of things, right? And even if they didn't say it to her directly, she heard it. And slowly, I watched her light start to dim. She stopped lighting up when people walked in. And then one day, you know what she did? She asked the manager if she could move to the back in the kitchen, start cooking. She gave up her tips and traded the thing that she loved and was great at just so she wouldn't have to stand out front where people would judge her body. And I just feel emotional even telling you this story. I've thought about this woman so many times over the years because she had started to disappear. And 16-year-old me filed it away as some sort of law of being a woman. This is what happens to women. And when it does, the polite thing to do is just get out of sight. I know, it's fucked up, right? So I'm Betty's age now, and I refuse to fade into the back. And it's funny because my mom went through the change. Did your mom call it that too? Went through the change in silence and never talked about it. Just suffered through it, while I was a teenager just thinking she was being dramatic. I know, I was an idiot. She just didn't have the information. She had nobody telling her that any of this was even possible. I think most women in that generation didn't. And then I think about my daughter, Rain. She is never going to watch me fade in silence the way I watched my mom, the way I watched Betty. She's going to see me navigate this out loud, healthy, lit up, still building the life of my dreams and showing up for her while I do it. So that's why I bother. The belly was never the enemy. Giving up was. I did not get rid of a belly. I just refused to disappear. And on that note, a toast. Grab a drink. You're like, not after that shit you just told me about alcohol. Grab some water if you want to. A toast. I'd like to thank myself for standing in that closet, fighting with a dress, and realizing I was going to have to do things different. For falling apart on a lake in Austin, Texas, and letting somebody help me instead of just doing the usual thing, which was pushing through it alone. For using every single tool I can get my hands on and not apologizing for a single one of them. For refusing to be the most exhausted woman in the room just so I felt worthy of taking a rest. A toast to Betty, who taught me what disappearing looks like long before I even had words for it. To my mom, who went through the change in silence because nobody gave her another option. And to my daughter, Rain, who's going to have all of the options because, like all of the women who've come before and will come after her, she deserves that. And to every woman watching this who was told that this is just what getting older feels like, it's just what happens. It isn't. You were never meant to disappear. To who we were, to who we are, and to the hottest fuck versions of ourselves we are becoming. For that and so much more, I'd like to thank myself. Cheers. I'm still going to drink this shit. It's going to work out a little harder to drink some more water. It's all good. Even Steven.